Hello and welcome to another episode of the SMEFocus show brought to you by FactoryNOW TV. I'm your host, Chris Greenough, and in this series we will focus on SMEs within the British manufacturing sector. Every week we will discuss and analyse the opportunities and challenges facing the industry in these unprecedented times. I have been in the sector for over 27 years and I'm CCO at SDE Technology, one of the leading manufacturers of pressings and assemblies in the UK. So as you can hopefully appreciate, this show is very much for manufacturers, by manufacturers. Joining me this week, really looking forward to this interview, is my friend and long-time colleague, Tom Mongan, President of Coventry and Warwickshire Chamber of Commerce. Tom, hello and welcome.
Yes, hello, good afternoon, Chris. Good seeing you. Great to see you.
So tell us about Tom Mongan, tell us about the role President at the Chamber of Commerce.
Yes, I was fortunate enough to be elected as the President of the Coventry and Warwickshire Chamber of Commerce. I was Vice President for 12 months beforehand, and have spent the best part of 50 years in the manufacturing industry. So the last 27 or 28, as it nearly was, at one of the UK's leading laser cutting companies using the very latest technology. And it's taken me on to, the President's role at the Chamber of Commerce, where my aim is to help manufacturers, certainly within the region and the wider region, because manufacturers, as you probably well know, are great at making widgets, but not good at putting their head above the parapet and shouting about what they do.
Yep.
So my aim was to sort of help those sort of people, because as you and I know, we've promoted manufacturing for a lot of years in our own companies and other companies. But I think the pandemic changed all that, and it just wasn't manufacturing that needed help. Every sort of industry, hospitality, leisure, they all needed help. So my task has widened a little bit, but manufacturing is still at my heart.
Absolutely. And you say you had a long and illustrious career in manufacturing. How do you stay involved with the sector?
Well, I'm talking to people every day. As you know, I'm in touch with you on a regular basis, and people that I've made an association with over, as I say, nearly 50 years, and I still in contact with guys who served their time with me, apprentices back from 1973. So. It's a long time, and a lot of them went on to good things within the manufacturing industry.
Yeah.
So everything and everybody, it's not like you close the door on anybody, because it's important to keep that knowledge. What's happening in the industry, what's the latest technologies coming out from Trump and Bystronic, and that. So I keep on top of all of that sort of information. I feel it's a necessity.
Absolutely. And I know you used to feed into the PMI data. How important is UK manufacturing to the economy?
Crucial. It's a bugbear of mine that the powers that be, let's say, don't recognise the importance of manufacturing in this country. And I know there's a great nucleus of people trying to promote what's happening and all the good things within manufacturing.
Yeah.
From skills right down, cascading out to everybody and anybody. And I was reading an article the other day about people saying you should get an apprenticeship. Forget university. You're going to come out with a lot of debt. I was talking about this 5, 6, 7, 8 years ago about university and the debt people can come out with when they could learn a skill and a trade.
Yeah.
To me, it's a no-brainer.
Absolutely, and you end up with the apprenticeship route. You end up with a loan-free degree. You're working with an employer all the way through, so you get to know the company. And really, it's that, how do we promote UK manufacturing? And certainly when you look at the pandemic, as you say, all business was affected, but certainly manufacturing businesses and smaller businesses. And it didn't help then when we heard earlier this year the demise of the industrial strategy, something that I know that you and I hung our hat on and had a lot of feed into. So what are your views on the demise of that?
That's a good question, and I think there certainly needs to be a strategy. I think the government needs to feed into manufacturing to get a proper strategy, not something that's plucked out of the air, that's likely to change with the change of a minister or whatever, whether that goes to cross-party. So they set out something set in stone with real goals, real time, that's achievable things over a time frame. Because as you and I know, we've seen industrial strategies come and go over the years with government ministers coming and going. And that's always going to happen. But sadly, the strategy gets sidelined or derailed, and then we start all over again. But I think we're at a crossroads at the moment because there isn't one, and there doesn't seem to be any signs that they're going to be creating one in the distant future, even, which takes us, to we're talking about it presently, a minister for manufacturing.
Yeah.
I think this is a great concept, and things are starting to develop, and will hopefully roll on, and more information coming out as the months progress.
Absolutely, and at least if we had a strategy, if you've got a minister pushing the manufacturing view, taking voices down to Westminster, we've got a chance of changing the environment for certainly SMEs. I know that larger businesses are represented. They seem to have a voice, but SMEs aren't really understood or listened to, are they?
It's a difficult, that really is a difficult one, because when you consider the thousands and thousands of SMEs, and everybody's going to have an opinion. So we need to focus a focal point where everybody can feed into. There's no good having 5,000, 10,000, 20,000 voices shouting, we need, we want, etc. So collectively, if it's fed into a central point by people who understand and run manufacturing, then it's going to have, in my opinion, more clout. As you say, the OEMs, well, they're always going to be top of the food chain simply because of the amount of people they employ and the supply chain that they support. But there's a whole different swathe of questions that rises from that. You look at Honda, for instance, and the closure of that. And I think I wrote on a social media post that it's terrible, but it's the knock-on effect for a younger generation and people coming through. What's going to happen? And the government, for whatever reason, but nothing happened. It closed. We've known for a couple of years this was going to happen, and I believe the local MPs, as they was making a noise and whatever, but it happened. I mean, Chris, I've seen it throughout my career in manufacturing. The closure, certainly in the Coventry area, this was Motor City. The amount of car manufacturers and top class manufacturers that closed, and of course SMEs, they've had to reinvent themselves, so they've always been there. So going back, it's important, obviously, SMEs, and I'm hoping that collectively throughout the UK there can be a creation of a central focal point for SMEs to feed into, so they can get their voice into Westminster.
Fantastic. And I know you'll laugh when I say, but many said that you should start looking at taking a role within government to promote your manufacturing sector. I certainly think with your passion and experience, you'd be a good feed into a group, into the ministerial post. Is this on your 5-year plan? Because I know you've still got lots of energy.
Again, it's a good point, and there are a lot of good people out there. I mean, if asked, I would certainly give due consideration to any request or whatever. And as you say, you know, with the experience I've had, and I mean, I've ended up at Downing Street. I've been into 10 Downing Street. I was invited by the Prime Minister and the Chancellor Exchequer, and that's another story for another day. But to me, the government needs people on the ground that knows and understands the issues and the problems facing industry. And with the greatest respect to the universities and them sort of people that normally get put into these roles,
yep,
they do not have the knowledge, because they're relying on the likes of SMEs to feed back into them. I mean, I'm on a number of committees feeding back into these establishments, and they need that help because they're not involved in the everyday workings of an SME. You know, good establishments for helping SMEs, but not with the day-to-day issues that are faced.
Absolutely. So that experience you're saying now, if asked, you would be there, which is good. You get my vote, Tom. So what does the rest of 2021...
You're putting words into my mouth there, Mr. Greenough.
What does the rest of 2021 hold for Tom Mongan?
Well, there's a lot of things going on, certainly in this area, this region, with the City of Culture, which has been great for the city. And again, I think everybody's been affected by the pandemic, and nobody... It'd been delayed, but now it's starting great guns, and there's a lot of positivity in this area, and a lot of job opportunities opening up. You know, whether they're short term, but people can gain good experience from these short term positions that become available.
Yeah.
Supporting the chamber, supporting manufacturing, and supporting the City of Culture is immediately on my radar, which will see me through to the middle of next year. So,
fantastic, Tom. Thank you for your time today. Thank you for your candid answers, and thank you for your support of UK manufacturing as always. And we'll catch up very soon.
Thanks, Chris.
Thank you, Tom.
Bye-bye.
That brings us to the end of another show. Thank you for watching, and I look forward to meeting more of our brilliant SME manufacturers and those involved in the sector next week. If you would like to get in touch with the show with a comment, suggestion, or even to appear on a future episode, please email us tv@mtd.media. We look forward to seeing how Tom and his campaign for the Minister for Manufacturing goes. I'm sure we'll have news shortly on that. So from me, Chris G at SDE, goodbye.